Hi
Hello.
guys. Welcome back. You're listening to Arts Here, in case you hadn't noticed. And today we're going to be speaking to Alice Shearon.
Hi, Shearon.
Shearon, I got it right the first time. About a play that she wrote called Common People. And it's going to be part of the St Andrews New Drama Festival, which is the first thing we're going to ask you about, just for a general overview. What is that?
Well, it's a week long of new drama, as it says. It's a week that writers are able to put on their own shows, but within the confines of a festival, which means that we get a bit more publicity than if you were going in completely blind with your first ever sort of student-written play. There's a lot of exciting stuff going on for it. There's the Queen of 7th Avenue, Julieta, Common People, This Breathing World. It's quite exciting.
Yeah, and they're all original plays, aren't they?
Yes,
written by students of St Andrews.
Yeah.
Of which you are one. So
yes.
you want to tell me about kind of the play that you've written here? You've also done a radio play in the past?
Yes, right? A radio play, and I also put on a play for On the Rocks last year.
Wonderful.
Wow.
Okay. Can you tell us a bit about your role as a writer, what inspires you, and Common People? Sorry, that's a lot of questions all in one.
That's a lot of questions. Okay, let me see if I can deal with this. It's after quite a few weeks of writing blurbs for Common People. It's can you remember it?
Yeah.
It's do you want to do it?
You're the writer.
Oh. Okay, so Common People is a play set in 1997. It's about a boy from a working class background called Brendan who goes to a university on a scholarship at a time where scholarships were quite new and it would be quite unusual for him to go to such a prestigious university. It's not St Andrews. Just want to confirm that. And it's about the prejudice that he sort of experiences when he's there, but it's a little bit more complicated than that, in the sense that it's a narrative strictly run by him. So it's not necessarily the prejudice that he experiences, but it's also the prejudice that he projects on others. There are quite a few sort of issues around it. I tried to write it as sensitively as possible because it deals with issues of class, gender, sexuality. So it's I mean, it's one of those plays where I don't want to say not a lot happens, because obviously I want people to come see it, but it's very character driven. So it's about his character interacting with other characters and his first semester at university.
So more a personal journey than a sort of like crazy plots all over the place.
Yeah.
I always find that those are the most effective plays, in particularly student productions, because when you've got all like messy set changing all the time and 100 people coming on and off, it can become very messy.
It can get quite complicated. We put on Rosencrantz and Guildenstern last semester, and that was a lot of set changes.
Yeah. And it's being hosted at the Barron Theater, is that right?
Yes,
so it's a great intimate venue as well.
Yeah, I love the Barron so much. I mean, obviously for something like the Queen of 7th Avenue, with so much going on, it's got dancing, it's got all sorts of things. It's far more suited for venue one, but the Barron is such a great space for. It's a very pared down production. It's the same set throughout. It's quite short, and it works really well in the Barron.
Okay. So what kind of, like as Kate mentioned, what kind of influences made you want to write this piece, or what were you kind of what was your headspace when you were writing it?
Well, obviously because it's called Common People, there was some pulp influence there. I think the idea came about 18 months ago when I was walking into town. I used to live in Melville, so I was walking into town and I was listening to Common People, and I was thinking, why has no one like written a play or like an opera about like the song Common People? Because you get sort of things like We Will Rock You, Mamma Mia, based on bands, and Common People already has that narrative, and so it sort of started from there. But then it really did change, because I wanted to do almost sort of like a class-swapped, gender-swapped version of sort of My Fair Lady Pygmalion, because that's sort of the story from Common People, the song. But then you start writing and other things get involved, and you realise that sort of the story goes in a different direction, and then you end up with something that barely resembles the song itself, and people ask you about pulp, and it's like, well
it's sort of. Yeah, that makes sense. Do you want to talk to me a bit about the realisation of it, and how you found the casting process, which you've been involved in, and then also just kind of seeing it come to life, and if you're pleased with the way it's turned out?
Well, I think it's interesting when you're writing your own thing, because when you have, for instance, when we put on Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, this was a play that was, because Alicia also produced for Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. She is my right-hand man. And for Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, we both loved the play so much, and we knew that it was such a fantastic script. But when you're writing your own thing, sometimes it can be quite difficult. You don't know how it's going to be taken, not only by the audience but also by the cast members. We're quite lucky in the fact that we have such a fantastic cast. We have a lot of people that we've worked with before, both in Just As It Is, which was my play last year, but also Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, and also my co-director for Just As It Is, she's in it, Sandra Kronkaj-Kish. And they're a fantastic cast to work with. They're very straight to the point. They ask a lot of fantastic questions. It's amazing when you write something and you put so much time and thought into it that goes beyond the realms of the script, and someone comes up to you, particularly Ollie Leonard with his character Jonathan. He asks so many questions, like, how do you think his character would turn out? It's not really developed in the script, but he wants to know more, and it's such an honour to be asked that sort of thing. But I mean, the rehearsals are going really well. It's such a short space of time, but they're tackling it so well. Because particularly Stephen Quinn's character, who's the main character, Brendan, his line learning, he has a lot to say. He's pretty much in every single scene, and he's tackling it so well. And I remember talking to him before I proposed the show, and I was telling him about it, and he was like, yeah, I can see myself in this play. I can identify with the character. And we just had a fantastic rehearsal yesterday where we managed to put together the ending, which is the ending is far more dramatic than the beginning. A lot happens at the end. And it's had to be something that, particularly with, sorry, I'm blathering, but particularly when I was writing it, I wanted to do it as sensitively as possible. Like I said before, the themes are quite complicated, and it's difficult to grapple with LGBT issues when you're not necessarily the sort of person that the character is. So I had a lot of outside influence with friends telling me, like, this character wouldn't say this character wouldn't do that. A lot of, this wouldn't happen in the 90s from my mother.
Oh, right, yeah.
So it's really great seeing them work with it and being very, because obviously it's a comedy, but knowing when to stop laughing and knowing when this is a very sensitive issue. Although we have implemented gin shots for people who don't necessarily make jokes, or a little bit, who make jokes who are a little bit off colour every now and again.
Right. That's good.
Yeah.
So Alicia, tell me a bit more kind of about your role as being a producer for Common People.
Well, as a producer for this, it was a little bit more complicated than doing other shows, because with other shows, we approach them from it's the same distance, I guess. But here, Alice wrote the play, and so I kind of had to get over feeling like I was intruding on her, like, personal conception of everything when I wanted to make a decision, or, like, in terms of casting especially. I was like, I remember saying that she should be the one to choose all the characters, because how could I know the play with the same way that she did? But I think one of the great things about the show is the way, as Alice said, that everyone has been getting to know it. Like, all of the cast, we've all been able to take the play and become personal with it, so that we can all project that way.
That's really awesome. And compared to Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, is it a massive kind of change in how you interact with it, or?
I don't know if especially so. I mean, that was a play that I knew a lot better. Starting out, because I knew it very well. But with this play, I've enjoyed getting to know the characters and getting to know them as the actors who are playing them. I think that differs in how you look at a show, but it's very impressive.
Sounds great. So, do you have a set date for when it's going to go on?
Oh, yeah.
March 6th and 7th.
Nice.
It's £4, but if you're going to see more Sand productions, you can buy all 3 tickets for Giulietta,
Julieta, This Breathing World, and Common People. So all the ones that are in the Barron, you can get the 3 for 2 deal.
Yeah, so it's £8 for that.
Yeah, that's a really good deal.
Yeah, I think so.
I've kind of a last question, which is in terms of what you want people to take away from it, and how you think people will respond to it. Because obviously, without wanting to sound snobbish, this is quite a prestigious university, and lots of people, I suppose, won't have come from the same background as the main character and might find it hard to sympathise. Kind of, what are you hoping to kind of get across in terms of a message?
That's a very interesting question. Well, I suppose it's not about because obviously putting this sort of play up in St Andrews, I knew that it had the potential to be controversial from the start. Simply because we don't name a university. It's unlikely that a university such as St Andrews in the 90s would have actually had characters like Brendan. But it's not specifically about treating a person from a working class background differently. It's about not having these preconceived notions of people. You shouldn't judge a person before you know them just because you know that they come from a rich background, a poor background, that they have a different sexuality than you do, come from a different place. Obviously in St Andrews we have so many international students that it's quite important to get across the message that everybody is pretty much the same, and everybody has their own backstory, everybody has a complicated life, and just because you know that a person has something doesn't mean that they are that person.
That's really good. It's a good message to take away.
It's a great message to take away.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we haven't asked you that you'd particularly like to talk about?
Well, my brother texted me just before I came on. He was like, "You better give me a shout out."
Okay,
go for it.
Just to give a quick background to this, he did the posters for us. The posters are fantastic. You should see them around town. There's definitely one in Bean Scene because I put that up yesterday. He's fantastic, and I think the amazing thing about this play is the people. So many people have engaged with it. So many friends have read it and given me advice before the actual sort of rehearsal process. So many friends have offered so much criticism, advice, support. It's just been a fantastic experience with that. And yeah, I just wanted to give him a quick shout out. And
And shout out to everyone who's been supportive.
Yeah, definitely. Particularly the cast. The cast are fantastic.
Great. I'm going to just remind people so that they can find you and buy tickets. So if you go onto Common People on Facebook, if you just type into your search bar, it will come up. It's Common People by Alicia Shearon. Or you can type in SAND 2014, which stands for St Andrews New Drama, right?
Yes, yeah. So you can find us on Facebook, and box office hours are...
Box office hours are Monday and Wednesday from 4 to 6, and you can email Barron Box Office, I believe is the email address, but you can find that through the Mermaids Facebook page and reserve tickets that way.
Great.
Awesome.
And the dates, just to remind you again, are the 6th and the 7th of March.
Yes.
So it's coming up fast, and you want to buy your tickets now. Well, not now, on the open day.
Soon.
Yes.
Do it soon.
Do you think there'll be some on the door, or hoping to be sold out before that?
It's not often that a play sells out before.
Most shows have not sold out by the time that the box office opens on the night, but, you know, we're hoping.
So if you still haven't got one by then you can always turn up on the door and hope.
Probably, yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So much,
It's been
guys.
lovely to speak with you.
Thank you.
I'm going to put on.